Hello, this is Lisa, CEO of Site for Wight, welcoming you to this week's Talking News on Saturday, the 5th of August 2023. I'm afraid I still come to you from home, sitting in a chair with my foot up. The good news is the cast has been able to be removed and I now have a walking boot, which has made an enormous difference, and I'm hoping to return to the office next week. I'm still awaiting outcome of various tests, but it is all looking a lot better. Meanwhile, at the office, we are doing our annual spring clean. Our annual planned August shutdown gives the chance for everybody to mingle with friends and family during the summer months. Both the volunteers and staff do take time off during August, which allows us to offer services full-time for the rest of the year. As I said, everywhere is given a good spring clean, although it's not actually spring during this August break, to ensure that we're all guns firing ready for reopening in September. We did have a couple of issues with the newsletter and we apologise for those who received them who shouldn't and those who didn't who should have. We've got to the bottom of what went wrong and we'll make sure it doesn't happen again. Wishing everybody a wonderful weekend. Lisa, CEO, Site for Wight.
This is Michael reading an article from Ireland Echo. Royal visit for Cows Week as the Princess Royal takes the salute. Her Royal Highness, the Princess Royal, and her husband, Vice Admiral Sir Timothy Lawrence, visited Cowes yesterday, Monday, to watch the Cows Week sailing. It was both Royal Navy Day and Charity Day, and on shore competitors and visitors were treated to a parade of the band of His Majesty's Royal Marines, who marched through the town from Cowes Yacht Haven to the Royal Yacht Squadron, and on to Holy Trinity Church. This parade not only consisted of the Royal Marines Band, but cadets from the Sea Cadet units, including those from TS Royal George, Ryde, and TS Osborne, Cowes. At the church, the cadets formed a guard of honour for Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal and other dignitaries, including the island's Lord Lieutenant, Susie Sheldon. At Holy Trinity, the Sailors' Church, a special service conducted by the Reverend Amanda Collinson was held to bless the memorial plaques to the late Queen Elizabeth II and His Royal Highness Prince Philip. In an address, Peter Nicholson, Commodore of the RYS 1996 to 2001, paid tribute to Her late Majesty and said how Prince Philip had been involved with the RYS since 1948, mentioning the royal yachts His Royal Highness had sailed on, including Blue Bottle, Cowes Slip, and the Yeoman. Following the church service, Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal attended an event at the Royal Yacht Squadron.
This is Patrina reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio. Shanklin Regatta set to celebrate 170th year. Shanklin Regatta is celebrating its 170th year this year. The event takes place on Thursday, August the 10th, and is held on Shanklin Esplanade on the pier apron that was once the welcoming entrance to Shanklin Pier, and on the sandy beaches below. Lynn Fleming, chair lady of Shanklin Regatta, said, "We can't wait to welcome island residents and visitors back to Shanklin Regatta, as this is a big year for the committee and helpers. We have been working really hard and have increased the size for this year's event by hiring land around the pier apron, adding more stalls with the aim to keep this event a free family fun day and night. The event starts at 10 a.m. and will be followed by a number of traditional and new regatta events, including lifeguard display from Ride Lifeguards Drawing Artist Competition, Huxley Magic Show, Shanklin Regatta Beauty Queen, Tug of War, running races, egg and spoon race, three-legged race, knobbly knees, street dancers, raw samba band. There will also be a bar, barbecue, pizza van, vintage fun fair and evening entertainment with the dancing in the street pre-firework party with the Keytar Man and Soundwaves Entertainment. Due to the very high water this year, the firework display has been moved to the later time of 10:30 p.m. If you would like to join the Shanklin Regatta Committee, email shanklinregatta@gmail.com.
This article is read by Howard, it's from the Isle of Wight Radio, and is to do with the Isle of Wight Scouts. 15 young people aged 14 to 18 and 4 adult volunteers from the Isle of Wight are now in Saimangyum, South Korea, attending the 25th World Scout Jamboree, which runs until August 12th. The majority are attending as part of Unit 63 with Hampshire Scouts, and 2 are attending as part of the International Service Team, that's the IST. Island Unit 63 members were waved off from East Cowes on Friday, July 28th, and after a night in Winchester with Unit 63, they flew out to South Korea via Dubai. The 25th World Scout Jamboree is the largest Scout camp to be held since the start of the COVID pandemic, with more than 40,000 young people from almost every nation on Earth taking part, including over 3,240 from every corner of the UK. The Jamboree is a skills, cultural and adventure festival happening in sensational and scenic areas of South Korea. Young people from the island will be meeting thousands of scouts, sharing their skills and learning new skills that they can use in other aspects of their life, as well as campaigning for change on key world issues that matter to them. The World Scout Jamboree is the culmination of 18 months' work for the young people and their volunteer leaders, who together are called the UK contingent. UK Chief Scout Bear Grylls said, "World Scout Jamborees only happen every 4 years, and tens of thousands of scouts from across the world attend each one. Young people will experience different cultures, languages and cuisine while learning new skills." The 2023 Jamboree, hosted by Korea, is said to be one of the biggest and most exciting yet. The theme is Think Big, Dream Wild, Act Together, focusing especially on how we can be trailblazers in creating a sustainable world together. Dave Simpson, County Commissioner for Isle of Wight Scouts, added, "This is a fantastic opportunity for these Scouts and one of the largest contingents we've sent to a World Scout Jamboree. We're grateful to everyone who has supported the Island Jamboree participants, and anyone wanting to support our Scouts is encouraged to contact us or visit our crowdfunding page." During 2022 and early 23, the young people from the island attended training camps and team-building events both on the island and in Hampshire to prepare them for living on the hot and humid site in Saimangyum, South Korea. Participants from the island have paid at least 50% themselves and have been fundraising throughout this time to enable the contingent to attend. There's still a little bit to raise to ensure that the funds available to Isle of Wight Scouts to support future expeditions and adventures are not reduced.
Winner of Cowes Week Youth Trophy announced from the Island Echo, read by Joyce. To celebrate Youth Day at Cowes Week on Wednesday, 2nd of August, a new trophy, Cowes Week Youth Trophy, was awarded at a reception hosted by Montgomery Estate Planning. This new trophy, to recognise outstanding commitment and achievement among the young sailors competing here at Cowes Week, is in addition to the Montgomery Estate Planning Under 25 Trophy and the Mustoe Young Skippers Trophy. The inaugural winner of this new award is 18-year-old Christopher Joel Frederick, who has been a leading figure in the Greek City Academy's Scaramouche youth sailing project since its first appearance at Cowes Week back in 2016. Christopher Joel from Tottenham has been sailing for 7 years and has grasped every sailing opportunity that has come his way. He has been a consistent part of the fundraising programme to enable his team and others in the Scaramouche programme to compete. Coming from a non-sailing background and an inner-city community in London, Christopher Joel has overcome very challenging circumstances. He is a shining example about how sailing can be used to transform a young person's life chances. His passion for racing was recognised at the age of 13 when he completed his first fastnet race aboard Scaramouche. He then went on to restore and campaign Riot and Intro 22, which he and the team raced at Cowsweek 3 years ago. This was the boat that Christopher Joel and the team worked hard on, upgrading the system's rig and sail plan with the great support of the late Sam Richmond from North Sails. However, in the last 3 weeks, Christopher Joel has really shown his true potential, according to his mentor and teacher, John Holt. Holt said he was completing his day skipper course over 5 days. On the Thursday evening, the opportunity to take part in the Fastnet race came up with Cowes Week's official charity, Tall Ships Youth Trust. Chris jumped at the opportunity. The timescales were so tight that on the last day of his course at RIB, intercepted his day skipper boat and transferred him straight on to Challenger 2, and off he went. He finished last Thursday, got off the boat, jumped on the ferry, and arrived in Cowes for the start of Cowes Week. This week, he is competing with Malcolm Offord aboard the HP 30 Assassin. With a huge amount of experience under his belt, and with a focus to not only work in the super yacht industry, but also continue racing, Christopher Joel has a bright future ahead. A delighted Christopher Joel, commenting on the award, said, "I feel very privileged to have won this award. It came as such a surprise, as I thought everything I was doing was completely normal. I love sailing and it felt so natural to me when I first started, so when the opportunity came up to continue, I took it. Cowes Week has been good so far. We are a new crew and we're testing our luck in a new boat, so we're still getting used to it. We have had a few decent results and hope it continues throughout the week." Regatta director Lawrence Mead said, "Whilst much of Cowes Week is about racing and winning trophies, a big part is also about taking part and enjoying the sport of sailing, and it is intended that this new trophy will recognise young sailors who have done something notable in the sport in the past year, irrespective of whether they won first place or not. The Cowes Week Youth Trophy will be awarded annually to a recipient chosen by senior members of the Cowes Week organising team, and Christopher Joel is a very worthy inaugural winner."
This is Michael reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio. Isle of Wight Council under fire for lack of food hygiene inspections. Not enough food hygiene inspections are being carried out on the Isle of Wight. It has been revealed that 247 food serving, making or selling premises are currently uninspected on the island. The issue has been highlighted by the internal auditor of the Isle of Wight Council, who said the authority is not fully meeting the requirements of the Food Standards Agency, FSA, regarding the frequency of inspecting food establishments. The FSA has, however, said it is assured by the Council's service and its plans to carry on. The food safety body specifies how long there should be between inspections, ranging from 6 months to every 3 years, based on their risk rating. In a report to the Audit and Governance Committee today, Monday, auditors said while the Council is complying with requirements for high-risk premises, it was not in other categories and has not inspected all the properties it was due to. Speaking at the committee's meeting today, Elizabeth Goodwin, the councillor's chief internal auditor, said the FSA was pretty comfortable with the council's approach, prioritising the high-risk places. Councillor Vanessa Churchman said she was seriously concerned about the backlog situation, as the island has an economy made from tourism, and the negative publicity of a food poisoning story would not be favourable. There is a robust action plan in place to rectify it moving forward. Ms. Goodwin said, but like other areas, there was a struggle to appoint qualified officers. In the audit report, it is said the FSA was assured by the comprehensive service plan in place to distribute resources effectively. Councillor Gary Peace said it was an item of concern when he was in the previous Conservative cabinet, so he understood the pressures, but would like to know whether the action plans are progressing. Current cabinet members in charge, Councillor Karen Luciani, said the team was affected by multiple factors, including the COVID pandemic. When people and money into the services were diverted away from it, but there are now more officers in training to help catch up with the lower rated categories.
This is Katrina reading from Island Echo. Royal Navy returned to the island to provide guard ship cover at Cowes Week Regatta. The presence of a guard ship is a tradition dating back to when the royal family regularly attended the event, with Her Majesty's yacht Britannia last mooring up in 1997. After a break of 25 years, the Royal Navy returned to Cowes in 2021, with HMS Ledbury keeping guard and representing the Navy. This time round, HMS Tyne and HMS Puncher are docked in Cowes throughout the whole of the Cowes Week 2023 celebrations, providing a guard ship for the regatta as the Navy have done for the last 3 years. Mine Clearance and Diving Officer Lieutenant Alex Snow is the current commanding officer, CO, of HMS Puncher, a P-2000 patrol vessel of the Coastal Forces Squadron. Originally built as a navigational training platform, the 22-metre-long vessel, capable of travelling at a speed of up to 22 knots, is being used to train naval personnel and midshipmen of the University Royal Navy Unit, URNU, and has not long got back from a 2-month deployment above the Arctic Circle in Norway. Lieutenant Snow, who was born on the island and still lives here, admitted that he always wanted to leave the island when he was a child, but as he grew up he quickly realised it's a lovely place to live. Like every teenager growing up, I hated it and wanted to get off, but I didn't get far and joined the Navy in Portsmouth. But I think that the older you get, the nicer it actually is here, especially outdoors. I'm always in the sea, surfing or diving. It's got it all, really. Most recently, Lieutenant Snow and some of his crew have been over to Weymouth and Portland, completing trials and tests on a multitude of underwater autonomous vehicles. HMS Puncher has a permanent crew of 5, 4 ratings, and an officer. The ship can also accommodate up to 12 URNU officer cadets, along with a training officer from the Royal Navy Reserve. For those wishing to join the Navy, Lieutenant Snow said, "It's on your doorstep, with a lot of things being based over in Portsmouth. There aren't a huge amount of employers here on the island. It's a massive opportunity to see." HMS Tyne is a river-class offshore patrol vessel built in Southampton for the Royal Navy to serve as a fishery protection unit within the United Kingdom's waters. Working for Fishery Protection Squadron, the oldest formation in the Royal Navy, and more recently the Offshore Patrol Squadron, the 80-metre 1,700-ton ship is one of the busiest in the fleet, typically at sea around 190 days every year. Tyne's sister ship, HMS Severn, took up guard off the north coast of the island back in 2022, as previously reported in Island Echo. Lieutenant Commander Hugo Floyer, commanding officer of HMS Tyne, told Island Echo about his day-to-day duties. I'm responsible for the missions and tasks of the ship, from people to navigation to safety, and making sure we decide what is the best way to execute the mission is. Lieutenant Commander Hugo Floyer.
The article is from the Isle of Wight radio and is read by Howard. It concerns pupil transport. The Isle of Wight Council has spent more than £6 million in the last 6 years providing taxis to get pupils to and from school. The spend on home-to-school taxis has increased year on year since April 2017, when only 148 pupils required transport, costing £659,500. It meant in that year the council spent £4,456 per pupil. The number of pupils needing home-to-school taxi transport has increased each year, with the cost now more than doubled. At the latest count, a Freedom of Information request to the Council revealed that in 2022-23 it spent £1,837,800, nearly triple the cost of 2017, for 319 pupils. It equates to a cost of £5,760 per pupil this year, an increase of £1,304 per pupil. Between April 2017 and March 2023, the Isle of Wight Council provided 1,382 pupils with taxi transport to school, costing £6,773,587. Each year, the Council provides home-to-school transport by bus, train or taxi to around 4,000 students. The majority of students get a bus or coach service, but taxis are available for some due to their needs or where they live. At the moment, the Council holds 138 contracts with taxi operators to provide the transport needed for students. It's a legal requirement for the Council to make sure suitable travel arrangements are in place so children who are eligible can go to school. By law, if a pupil lives more than the minimum number of miles from their home to the nearest school, they're entitled to free school transport. That's 2 miles for reception to year 3 and 3 miles for years 4 to 11. The rise in students needing taxis to and from school has been put down to a range of factors by the Cabinet Member for Children's Education, Councillor Debbie Andre. She said there were inflationary operator costs and increased demand for transport provision for children with special educational needs. With the increase in pupil numbers and costs, Councillor Andre said the Council is focusing on several initiatives to reduce the cost of school transport. They include a review of the contracted taxi routes, trying to consolidate them to make fewer journeys and vehicle provisions. Councillor Andre also said they were exploring opportunities for children with special educational needs to access more local school provision, which meets their learning needs while reducing the need for transport or decreasing travel time. She said they'd also be providing eligible parents with options for parental mileage allowances or personal budgets so they could take their children to school, replacing the need for more expensive taxi transportation. The Council will also be investigating opportunities for schools to take advantage of a spend-to-save leased minibus scheme. It would allow schools to undertake home transport duties while using the vehicles during the day for school trips, with the option to replace the minibus every 3 to 4 years.
Bembridge Boatyard and buildings lined up for transformation from Isle of Wight Radio, read by Joyce. Dilapidated buildings and a former boatyard overlooking an Isle of Wight harbour could be transformed. Plans have been lodged by Mr. M. Measles to rejuvenate land on Embankment Road in Bembridge incorporating Bembridge Boatyard, Pilot's House and the quayside. The house and former commercial buildings could be demolished and replaced with 19 industrial units used for general industrial or storage for boat maintenance, as well as a new house. The 5 units could be built on the boatyard site and 14 on the quayside, which would be an expansion of the neighbouring and near-completed Marine Works industrial site. The business units could be made of green corrugated sheeting. The proposed Pilot's House, which could replace the existing accommodation of the same name, could include a media room, pool, 5 bedrooms and a roof terrace area. They say it could also provide employment and economic opportunity. You can view the plans 23/01165 0F for Freddy, U for Uniform, L for Lion on the Isle of Wight Council's Planning Register. Comments can be made until August 25th.
This is Michael reading an article from Island Echo. Community-owned solar farm opens second share raise. Wight Community Energy has announced another opportunity to purchase a stake in the island's only community-owned solar farm. Established in 2015, WCE is the island-based community benefit society that exists to share the benefits of solar energy and to accelerate the rollout of low-carbon technologies. Running its first share offer in 2016, WCE brought the first 4-megawatt Homestead solar farm situated near Shellfleet into community ownership. The solar farm is projected to generate hundreds of thousands of pounds per year and £2.5 million over its lifetime in surplus revenues, which Wight Community Energy, WCE, will spend in the community, fulfilling its core mission of tackling fuel poverty and accelerating the island's transition to a low-carbon future. 7 years on, and WCE has joined a new collaboration between 5 community energy groups in England and Wales called Community Energy Together, CET, 4 of whom are this week launching share offers to fund the transfer of 7 operational solar farms into community ownership. The 5th share offer will follow soon. Bringing that portfolio into community ownership will increase the capacity of community-owned solar energy in England and Wales by around 1/5. The other solar farms are in Shropshire, Kent, Devon and Swansea, and are also all run for the benefit of the community. Colin Palmer, director of the shareholder at WCE, comments, "This is a unique opportunity to be part of a clean energy company that will deliver millions into the local economy. We are very excited about the future, and we hope that many people across the island will join us as a shareholder and member of Wight Community Energy." Bearing testimony to this comment are the many low-carbon projects already undertaken by WCE. These include funding for the Footprint Trust, helping the launch of the island's electric cargo bike business, and organising Going Electric, the island's largest electric transport and green technology show. By joining CET, Wight Community Energy has significantly improved its financial position, so much so that WCE is aiming to pay 6% interest per year to all investors and return £2.5 million of community benefit over the project's lifetime. Investments start at £250 and, as well as financial return, Investors will become members of WCE.
This is Patrina reading from Isle of Wight Radio. Newport Tesco plans approved. After a year in limbo, plans for the new supermarket giant to set up store on an Isle of Wight high street could be a step closer. It comes as plans for Tesco to install signage on the former Laura Ashley's store on Newport High Street have been approved by the Isle of Wight Council. The national chain submitted the plan for its 6th island store to the authority last year. They have since been revised as Tesco responded to concerns over the level of advertising in the shop windows and the effect it could have on the conservation area. Newport and Carisbrooke Community Council originally objected to the plans, saying while the store was acceptable, its presentation was important and the current plans were detrimental to the listed buildings in the town. The Shaping Newport Partnership also objected to the plans regarding the outside of the building, as it would be detrimental to the town centre conservation area. In the decision report, council planning officers said following discussions with Tesco, the amount of advertising was reduced and shuttered screens on windows approved. Officers have now approved the plans, setting the supermarket chain a 3-year time frame to start, which is the standard time frame given. Last September, Tesco was granted its licence to sell alcohol and food from the High Street stall. The Express store will be able to sell food and alcohol for consumption off the premises from 6 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. At the time, Tesco said the store will be open by Easter 2023. There is still one unanswered question about the plans, however, as the plans would see the former Laura Ashley store combined with the H. Samuel jewellery shop next door. The jewellery store is still occupied, and last year workers said they had not been told about any closure. A spokesperson for H. Samuel said they were monitoring the situation and said stores remain central to its long-term growth strategy, including on the island. Tesco already has other stores in Ryde, Freshwater, Ventnor, Wootton and Lake.
This article is from the Island Echo, is read by Howard, and is concerned with the Wellow unit at St Mary's Hospital. Wellow unit at St Mary's Hospital is on the move again, just 2 months after being relocated to the stroke ward. As previously reported by Island Echo, concerns spread across social media back in May amid rumour that the award-winning Wellow unit, which looks after those in their final hours and days, was going to be shut down. It was soon established that the unit was in fact downsizing and moving to a different part of the hospital due to significant long-standing pressure elsewhere in the hospital. The area it did occupy, the former Shackleton ward, was turned into a 12-bed sick bay. Now, just 2 months on, it's been confirmed that the unit is on the move again, but will retain its 3 beds. It's relocating to the newly vacated Compton ward. An Isle of Wight NHS Trust spokesperson has told the Island Echo to enable a major refurbishment of the community unit at St Mary's Hospital and to support our wider estates investment programme, a number of departments are being relocated this week. We'll also be moving Wellow unit to the newly vacated Compton ward. The unit will continue to have 3 beds and will benefit from having a more spacious environment, which is more conducive in supporting patients and their families who are nearing the end of their life. Wellow unit, which was established as a temporary project in February 2020, is the country's only nurse-led end-of-life unit. It provides bespoke care for those who would otherwise pass away in open bays in A&E or intensive care.
Here are the top 10 things to do with your kids in the summer holidays 2023 in the UK, read by Joyce from the Island Echo. Summer has unfurled its warm and sunny disposition, and London is gleaming bathed in a balmy glow. With the school holidays here, now is the perfect time to put down those iPads, switch off the televisions, and make the most of the radiant British summer with your little ones. From exhilarating adventures atop iconic London buildings to serene cruises along the Thames, the city is brimming with family-friendly activities just waiting to be discovered. This bustling metropolis offers a unique blend of history, culture, fun, and adventure, and making it the perfect playground for families. We've carefully curated a list of the top 10 experiences for you and your kids to enjoy without breaking the bank. Whether it's the thrill of an escape room, a charming afternoon tea on a vintage London bus, or a visit to the seaside town of Brighton, these summer escapades promise to create memories that will be cherished long after the holidays are over. So pack those picnic baskets, apply the sun cream, and get ready for an unforgettable UK summer holiday 2023. Number 1. Battersea Power Station's Lift 109. Jump aboard Lift 109 at Battersea Power Station for a sky-high adventure. This innovative glass elevator promises a unique view of London's skyline, a lift ride that lasts about 90 seconds. Soaring up the iconic reconstructed chimney will give you a breathtaking view of the city skyline and River Thames. With tickets priced affordably, it's an educational yet exciting journey for kids and adults alike. Number 2. The view from the Shard. Take your children on a mesmerising journey up Western Europe's tallest building. The view from the Shard provides a panoramic view of London from 800 feet above. The interactive telescopes designed for children offer information about London's history and landmarks. Booking online in advance is usually cheaper and also saves you from standing in queues. Number 3. Biscuiteers School of Icing Workshops. At Biscuiteers, you and your little ones can take part in a biscuit icing workshop, a lovely alternative to the usual summer activities. The classes are fun and relaxing, and at the end of the session, you get to take home your beautifully decorated biscuits. Number 4. Afternoon tea on a vintage London bus. The BB Bakery offers a unique and quirky experience of afternoon tea on a vintage double-decker bus. Enjoy an array of sandwiches, pastries and drinks while touring some of London's most iconic landmarks. Kids will enjoy both the sights and the delightful bites. Number 5. Escape rooms. For the more adventurous families, try one of the many escape rooms in the city like Clue Quest, Hint Hunt, or the Crystal Maze Live experience. These immersive experiences foster teamwork and problem-solving skills in an exciting and challenging environment. Number 6. Go Ape Treetop Adventure. With locations across the UK, this outdoor adventure company offers fun-packed experiences for kids and adults. Enjoy zip-lining, tree-top crossings, and epic Tarzan swings. It is a great way for the kids to burn off some energy and for the family to connect with nature. Number 7. Thames River Cruise. Enjoy the sounds and sights of London from a different perspective with a relaxing river cruise down the Thames. Companies such as City Cruises or Thames River Sightseeing offer affordable options that are both enjoyable and educational. Number 8. Thames Speedboat Experience. For those seeking a little more thrill, a speedboat tour on the Thames can offer an exhilarating experience. Thames Rockets or Thames RIB experience provide high-speed rides that blend adventure and sightseeing. Number 9. Visit Brighton. Consider a day trip to Brighton. The sea, pier and Brighton Sea Life Centre offer plenty of attractions for kids. Plus there's a chance to enjoy fish and chips on the beach. The train from London to Brighton takes less than an hour, making it an easy day out. Number 10. Explore the many parks and museums. London boasts some of the best parks and museums in the world, many of which are free. Visit the Natural History Museum or the Science Museum. Wander around Hyde Park or Hampstead Heath. Each offers unique and budget-friendly experiences for families. Remember, although London offers endless possibilities, the best memories are often created from simple experiences shared as a family. So don't forget to also savour those spontaneous moments together this summer holiday.
Good morning, this is Pauline.
This is Gerard. Good morning.
Good morning. Before we start the second part of the Talking News, here is this week's Society News, 7th of August 2023. All our activities have now finished for our August break, and we hope you all have an enjoyable summer. The office will still remain open Monday to Friday between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. for any inquiries, and of course the weekly Talking News will be recorded and sent out. Advance notice, we will be Wolverton Garden Show on September the 2nd and 3rd, and looking for new items for our tombola stall. If you have any, could you please let us know or drop into Millbrook House? We would be highly grateful of any contribution.
Please remember, if you wish to join us either on Wet Wales on September the 18th or Warner's holiday break in October, you must call the office and put your name on our list. Date for your diary. Our next open day is on September the 13th between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. at the First Newport Scarft Hall, Wendy's Hall, St. John's Road, Newport. We will have several island and mainland-based exhibitors plus local charities on hand to discuss and support your needs.
And now we have the articles from the county press. Police investigate dog poisonings. Reports of dogs falling ill from suspected poisoned food led to police patrolling a walkway in Apley. A warning was issued to the walkers following the discovery of the food on Apley Lane on the morning of Wednesday, August the 3rd. 3 piles of food were left next to a dog poo bin. Councillor Karen Lucknett, councillor for Ryde Monkton Mead, said, "Please do not let your dogs near these. Police are going to investigate now. They have appeared again this morning. Keep dogs on leads away from this." Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary confirmed it had received reports of a dog falling ill after eating from one of these piles. A statement from police said officers from the local neighbourhood policing team will be in the area today conducting inquiries. If you have any concerns, please don't hesitate to talk to them. The food was disposed of by a member of the public. This is not the first time suspicious food has been left in this area. On Monday, July the 31st, concerned residents took to Facebook to voice fears about what they thought was laced dog food. On this occasion, dog walkers said it was left in Apley Park. If anyone has any information, they are urged to contact the police.
Police crack down on antisocial behaviour. Concerns Calves Week could be spoilt for revellers by the antisocial behaviour of a minority of troublemakers in the town, which has led to arrests this week. Means Island Police have enforced a dispersal order. Police have put Section 34 disposal order to place for cows today, Friday. The aim being target offenders more effectively. On Wednesday night, police in Cowes issued dispersal notices to 3 people for their poor behavior. One of them, a 21-year-old man from Cowes, failed to comply with a notice and was subsequently arrested. Chief Inspector Alex Charge said, "Individuals who behave poorly in the nighttime economy and at large events such as Cowes Week are in the minority. Everyone should be able to go out, have fun and have a drink, but that does not excuse those who become abusive, aggressive and disruptive." The officer added he was pleased to see the vast majority of people living on and visiting the Isle of Wight have been enjoying Cowes Week safely and sensibly this year. Police have plans to ensure those who want to make the most of this exciting week can do so without being disturbed by crime, disorder and antisocial behavior, he added. There are unfortunately a very small minority of people whose poor behavior causes disruption, and these individuals are dealt with robustly by police. Dispersal orders give officers the power to order a person to leave a directed area and not to return within a specified time period. Those who refuse to comply with the order are committing a criminal offence and are liable for arrest. Juveniles causing antisocial behavior will be taken home to their parents. Chief Inspector Charge added, "I am grateful to all of the attendees at this year's event who are enjoying themselves sensibly. We are committed to ensuring the opportunity to experience Cowes Week without nuisance caused by those who simply cannot behave. We will continue to take action against anyone whose actions are deemed antisocial or criminal."
A Mercedes driver who had told fellow car ferry passengers he had been on the Raz was shocked to the police. Douglas Williams of Lane End Road, Bembridge, admitted drink driving on July the 13th when he appeared at the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court on Friday, July the 28th. The 51-year-old former hotelier, now unemployed, was travelling on the Wight Link car ferry from Portsmouth to Fishbourne when he told fellow passengers he had been drinking heavily the night before, on the Raz as he put it. That morning, said Lauren Stone, prosecuting. A member of the public on board the ferry informed the police that Williams had driven a Mercedes on board. Officers waiting for him at Fishbourne Ferry Terminal followed Williams and pulled him over on Binstead Hill. When asked if he had been drinking within the past hour, Williams said no, failed a roadside breath test and was arrested. At Newport Police Station, a further breath test revealed a reading of 135 milligrams. The drink drive limit is 35. It would be the 4th drink drive conviction on Williams' record. For Williams, Simon Collingham said his client showed remorse for his disgusting behaviour, putting other road users at risk. He clearly hadn't learned his lesson from previous drink drive offences. Mr. Collingham explained that Williams had broken up with his girlfriend in Kent the evening before, stayed at a hotel in Portsmouth, drunk heavily that night, and then got on the early ferry the next morning. The bench was also told Williams was a carer for his parents and needed the car. Mr. Collingham said Williams, sobbing uncontrollably in the dock, was trying to address his drink problem by showing he had adopted a healthy lifestyle, doing bodybuilding as a hobby. The breakdown of his relationship was the catalyst for his decision to drink and drive, Mr. Collingham added. Magistrates ordered a report on Williams to cover all sentencing options to include a possible jail term.
Naturists back new signs for nudist beach. Naturists on the Isle of Wight said they would support new signage that let unsuspecting people know they were approaching a nudist beach. The Isle of Wight Naturist Club has responded to complaints from a holidaymaker saying their use of a locally known nudist beach is not a problem, as it has been used by naturists for years. Speaking at their woodland retreat, one of the group, Mike, said, "We are not weirdos or sexual perverts, and the human body is not indecent. Naturism is good for body acceptance and positivity." And another member of the group added, "You don't get tan lines." The letter was sent after a visitor to the island from Milton Keynes found themselves on Yavelin Beach and saw a naked man. One of the group, Pauline, said, "It was tough to get to the beach and it was a known naturist spot." The group said they would support putting up signs saying it was a beach used by naturists. The Isle of Wight naturists have been meeting for years at their 6-acre woodland premises, where they barbecue and play games of table tennis.
Cat cruelty figures for the Isle of Wight show there were more than 30 reports made to the RSPCA last year. The charity has released the data as part of its Cancel Out Cruelty campaign, which aims to raise funds for its frontline rescue teams. On the island last year, the RSPCA received 32 calls about cat cruelty. Exactly 31 of the incidents involved either abandonment or neglect to the pets. One of the reports was regarding intentional harm, which the charity defines as attempted killing, poisoning, beating, improper killing, or suspicious circumstances. Nationally, last year, there were almost 18,000 cat cruelty complaints reported to the RSPCA. Of those reports, 1,726 were intentional harm incidents, which is around 5 a day. This is a 25% increase from 2021, when the number was 1,387. Dr. Sam Gaines, head of the RSPCA's Complaint Animal Department, said, "Cats are one of the most popular pets in the UK, with an estimated 11 million pet cats in the UK homes, but our figures suggest, sadly, they are the second most abused pets after dogs. It is heartbreaking to think that 5 cats every day are suffering at the hands of humans. It really is appalling. But sadly, the RSPCA knows all too well that this cruelty is carried out on a regular basis." Paul Williams, Chief Inspector for Hampshire, said, "Right now, animal cruelty is happening in England and Wales on a massive scale and rising. It is heartbreaking that we are seeing such sad figures which show animal cruelty is very sadly on the rise. While we don't know for certain why there has been an increase, the cost of living crisis and the post-pandemic world we live in has created an animal welfare crisis."
Swimmer Elaine is inspirational. A rad woman is taking on the Swim 15 challenge this August to help spread awareness of the symptoms of bowel cancer. Elaine Turner, 55, is taking on the challenge to swim 15 days to raise money for Bowel Cancer UK. Elaine was diagnosed with bowel cancer in 2021, and when her symptoms first started, she did not think it could be anything serious. Having gone through breast cancer 5 years ago, she assumed her stomach problems were due to her cancer medication or diet. Through taking part in Swim 15, Elaine helps to spread awareness of the symptoms of bowel cancer and how easily they can be missed. Bowel Cancer UK's Swim 15 challenge take place in August, asking islanders to get sponsored and complete a swimming challenge which incorporates the number 15. Whether that is 15 laps a day, swimming for 15 days, or racking up 15 kilometers throughout the months, the funds raised will aid efforts to fight bowel cancer. Elaine said, "One day I ended up double over in pain and had to ring 111. I was diagnosed with inoperable bowel cancer that had spread to my lungs, liver, and lymph nodes. They told me I only had 2 years left, but I passed that in May. I stay positive. My approach is I can't do anything about my cancer, so I've just got to get on with it. The sea is so beautiful here, clear and lovely. When you're told you only have a little while left, you need to prioritize quality of life. And this is what makes me happy. So when I saw Swim 15 was a way to fundraise, all I could think was, yes, it's perfect for me. For all those who have been diagnosed, I want you to know that it does not mean it's the end. Don't think the worst. Just have your treatment and make the most of your life doing the things you love."
A man headbutted a colleague in the face inside a high street fish and chip shop, leaving him with a swollen, bloody nose. Scott Riley of Wood Street Ryde appeared before Isle of Wight magistrates on Friday, July the 28th. At a previous hearing, the 52-year-old admitted assault by beating. Prosecutor Liz Miller told the court March's incident happened inside White's fish and chip shop on Ryde High Street, where both Riley and the victim worked. She said the victim entered the shop and Riley headbutted him in the face, knocking him to the ground. Police arrived at the scene and arrested the 52-year-old. Ms. Miller said Riley was angered because he believed he heard the victim had put his hand inside the tip jar. Unrepresented, Riley said he was happy to go with probation's recommendation and handed magistrates a letter from his employer. The court heard Riley had 33 previous convictions for 90 offences. Riley was made subject of a 12-month community order to include 20 rehabilitation days and 40 hours of unpaid work. He was ordered to pay costs of £85 and £140 surcharge.
Wightlink treats those it supports. More than 100 island sportsmen and women, together with musicians, performers, and people from charities and good causes, gathered in Newport in an event organized by their sponsors, Wightlink. The annual event at Key Arts brought together many of the individuals and groups who have benefited from discounted travel. It was a treat to chat over coffee and cake with lots of the islanders we sponsor, said Phil Delaney, Whitelink's commercial director, recently. We support many people who need to travel throughout the country and further afield to complete or perform. So we always like to catch up with them and find out what's been happening over the past year. Ryde Rowing Club has received support from Wightlink, formerly Sealink, since 1967. Steve Cook of Ryde Rowing Club said, "Wightlink helps us with our travel to regattas on the mainland, particularly during the summer season, so we are very grateful. We were the first club Wightlink supported, so we are really proud and pleased we've had this relationship for so long." Dean Terrett, founder and chairman of charity Wight Search and Rescue, SAR, added, "We're really grateful for the generosity and help they've given over the past year. Wight Search and Rescue looks for vulnerable missing people on the island. We have about 30 volunteers who give up their time to help bring people home safely." Julie Cooper of the Wight Mountain Cycle Race Team said the regional road race event this year would not have happened without the support of Wight Link. With their sponsorship, we were able to attract more than 150 cyclists and supporters from the mainland to take part and enjoy racing on our fantastic roads. This year, there were also representatives from organizations including Aspire Ride, Isle of Wight Steam Railway, Ability Dogs for Young People, Isle of Wight, West Wight Arts Association with pianist Thomas Luke and performers Eb Phillips, Eva Cohen, and Amelie Jones. Island Carnival Company, Shade Makers Isle of Wight, is one of 4 new groups to join Wight Link's extensive sponsorship scheme in 2023, along with Cyclos Swimming Club, Joel Morris Dance Academy, and the MLD Studio Dance and Performing Arts Academy.
School remains good. 6 years after it was last inspected by Ofsted, a school has maintained its good rating. The Island Free School in Ventnor was visited by the government's education watchdog in June. Inspectors found pupils were extremely proud to attend the vibrant, inclusive and happy school. Their report, which has just been published, said the leader's vision is to inspire every pupil and broaden their horizons, raising their aspirations and standards, ensuring they study an ambitious curriculum with a strong academic core and rich cultural elements. The school, which has over 600 pupils on its roll, has been approached for its reaction to the good outcome. Inspectors said pupils' behaviour and manners are exemplary and incidents of bullying are extremely rare, but dealt with effectively by staff. As a result, pupils feel safe in the school. Inspectors did say the curriculum is not as highly ambitious and effective in some subjects as it is in others. Consequently, some pupils do not achieve as well as they could, particularly in Key Stage 3 when writing at length or tackling more complex tasks. Another area inspectors said could be improved was the provision for some pupils in the early stages of reading. While most pupils receive effective additional support, a small number of pupils do not, as gaps in their reading knowledge are not identified precisely enough. Pupils with special educational needs achieve well across most subjects, and staff ensure additional support is individually taken to those pupils, which makes a real difference. Inspectors hailed the provision for pupils' wider development as a strength, where leaders nurture confidence, resilience and social awareness very well. A very high priority is placed on safeguarding, the inspectors said. Leaders and governors have instilled a strong culture of vigilance underpinned by rigorous systems and high-quality training.
Caring Women's Institute is thanked by Duchess. Freshwater Bay Women's Institute got a welcome surprise when they received a card from the Duchess of York thanking members for sending her a handmade anti-ouch pouch designed for mastectomy patients. The Women's Institute make and send the underarm cushions and drainage bag to those who have undergone the operation. Having produced hundreds of the pouches over the last 5 years, members are used to getting thank you cards. but they were not expecting to receive a handwritten one from a member of the royal family. The card from the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, thanked them not only for her cushion, but for the hundreds they have made. She was touched by their kindness and the lengths they had gone to help strangers at a time of such trauma. The card said, "Dear Wendy and members of the Freshwater Bay Women's Institute on the Isle of Wight, thank you so much for your beautiful underarm hanging pillow and also the drainage bag. Both amazingly kind. Well done. What an incredible gift to so many. With love, Sarah." An inspirational quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was also attached to the card. Freshwater Bay Women's Institute President Wendy Owens said, "We were amazed to get such a lovely card from the Duchess. We just thought sending her a cushion and a drainage bag was a kind thing to do. She has encouraged all women to go for routine mammograph. And we back this message. Go for checkups. It may save your life. It saved mine." Many members of Freshwater Bay Women's Institute are involved in producing the cushions, which, along with drainage bags and treadle muffs for dementia sufferers, are regularly sent to St. Mary's Hospital. The initiative was started by Sandra Thurl and Perry Ryan. The teams including Pat Kendrick, Sue Morris, Dot Ellis, and Janet Fair have made hundreds of cushions over the last 5 years.
The Isle of Wight Council's mainland commercial property portfolio has drastically dropped in value, which means if it sold it now, it would lose money. The authority owns 4 industrial estates in Southampton, Salford, Oxford and Kent, purchased 5 years ago. Between 2022 and 2023, the valuation of its properties fell by an average of 15.96%. The portfolio's current market value, as determined by independent experts, is worth £34.75 million, a £420,000 loss on what the council bought it for. Compared to last year, between 2021 and 2022, the portfolio grew by nearly 18%. Property prices peaked last year, with one Olympic Court in Salford at almost £13.7 million. It is now worth £12.3 million, a 10% decrease. The most significant drop in value was at the Network Oxford site, which fell 21.97%. The council purchased the 4 sites for £35.17 million in 2018, including all legal fees and associated costs. It hoped it would make money for the council, which would deliver year on year. The council received around £1.78 million of rent in the last year from the occupiers of the units, which include in the Style Fashion, Better Store Self-Storage and Stagecoach Group, although one is now empty. Had the council sold the properties at that point, it would have made a £6.25 million profit, less the costs of sale. A report seen by the Isle of Wight Council's Audit and Governance Committee earlier this week said the second half of 2022 went from record-breaking highs to quite dramatic lows as the country faced economic challenges.
Floating bridge has been a failure. Isle of Wight Councillor Carl Love slammed the latest floating bridge chaos as economically a disaster for the island. As Cows Week 2023 got underway, islanders and visitors found themselves trapped on terra firma on Saturday by the malfunctioning floating bridge. Councillor Love was on Ferry Road to direct potential passengers to the replacement launch, which is running from Trinity pontoon next to the Red Funnel marshalling yard. You can't hide the fact it's been a failure, said Councillor Love. The bridge is pretty awful, he added. Since it arrived in 2017, it has been nothing but trouble. Councillor Love confirmed the Calves to East Calves Chains Ferry will not be in action for 3 weeks, and he called the latest delay a disaster because it coincided with Calves Week 2023, the most important week of the year. Meanwhile, he praised its staff, who he said did an amazing job dealing with frustrated members of the public.
Sea accessible to all. More than 100 guests joined members for trips out on the water, marking another successful open day for islanders with disabilities at the Royal Victoria Yacht Club in Fishbourne. The annual event also included a barbecue lunch, tea and cakes. The RVYC has been welcoming guests to its open day event since 1961, which was the first International Year of Disabled Persons. The club laid on 56 trips along Wootton Creek and out into the Solent. Some ventured out on fast ribs, while wheelchair users were welcomed aboard specially adapted boats called Wet Wheels and Spirit of Scout Bader. The club's motor launches, Strong Arm and Albatross, offered more relaxed journeys throughout the day. Invited guests included Sight for Wight, Isle of Wight Society for the Blind, Mountbatten, Isle of Wight Physically Disabled, Ride House, Hazelwood House, Southern Housing, plus individual island families with disabled members. The island's Deputy Lord Lieutenant Anne Longford, together with Isle of Wight High Sheriff Dawn Haig Thomas and Councillor Debbie Andre, the Isle of Wight Council's Cabinet Member for Children's Services, Education and Skills, and Island Councillor for Binston and Fishbourne, Ian Dorr, spent time chatting with guests and also went aboard. Sarah Butler, Mountbatten's Transition Coordinator for Young Adults, said events like this are so important for young adults as they help to create special memories of happy and fun times. Without the club's generosity, this would not have been possible. Mrs. Longford added, I am blown away by the effort that many volunteers from the club put into the day. It was clear it meant so much to every single person. More than 70 club members volunteered to support the event.
The Wight Strollers unable to do island carnivals this year. One of the best-loved theatrical groups on the island, the Wight Strollers, will not be taking part in any carnivals this year. Established in 1981, they have royally entertained and raised money for worthy causes, ever since becoming a real crowd favorite for not only their pantomimes but at carnivals across the island year in and year out. However, this year, due to circumstances beyond their control, the Strollers will not be performing in carnivals. In a statement on their Facebook page, the group posted, ahead of Sandown Carnival, we thought the time was right to let everyone know that unfortunately we won't be participating in the island's 2023 carnival season. We are absolutely gutted not to be dancing the streets like usual. The biggest obstacle has not been finding anywhere to build and paint our float. Ultimately, the decision was made not to take part in this year. Our next stop is Panto, and while we've been given temporary storage, we are still looking for permanent solution, particularly for building and painting. So if anyone can help, please do let us know. We will be watching and waving, and we can't wait to be back in full force with you throughout next year.
A rare moth has been rediscovered on the island, believed to be the last remaining stronghold for the species in the UK. Conservationists from Hampshire and Isle of Wight Wildlife Trust, HIWWT, say the reddish buff moth, a Cosmetia calignosa in Latin, and a rare species found only on one site in the UK, has been recorded for the first time in 4 years. 2 were found during the HIWWT's annual moth survey programme held at a sanctuary site on the island. Thanks to the work of HIWWT in partnership with the Isle of Wight AONB, Butterfly Conservation, Amazon World and the Wild Heart Animal Sanctuary, the reddish buff moth has a chance to increase its numbers. The last time an adult moth of this species was found was in 2019. Jamie Marsh, Director of Nature Recovery, Wilder Wight and Wilder Seas for the HIWWT, said, "This is a significant and reassuring find. We were concerned about the status of this endangered species. COVID-19 massively impacted our survey efforts in 2020 and 2021 when only one single larvae was found. To discover the reddish buff moth is still persisting is very exciting. It is a difficult moth to survey for and requires a lot of time and effort. It is very fulfilling to discover 2 individuals. We were getting nervous that the species had been lost, so to find it this year and have it verified by the UK's leading expert is a big relief. The moth enjoys a habitat which features sawwort. The reddish buff moth's flight period is from April through to July. Its copper-coloured forewings and gale red hindwings helped it to blend in with its surroundings and attract potential mates.
Youth Group's Green Kite Mark. In a record-breaking year, Shanklin Voluntary Youth and Community Centre has proudly unfurled and raised its prestigious Green Flag Award for Excellence. Shanklin Voluntary Youth and Community Centre is celebrating after being presented with a kite mark for its work maintaining locations around Shanklin with partner organisation, the island's Lord Lieutenant Susie Sheldon and High Sheriff Dawn Haig Thomas led the short ceremony. The Green Flag Award scheme is managed by environmental charity Keep Britain Tidy. Mrs. Sheldon said, "The news that Shanklin Volunteer Youth and Community Centre has achieved the accreditation, the International Quality Mark for Parks and Green Spaces, is testament to the hard work and dedication of the team that cares for the green space so everyone can enjoy it." Ms. Haig Thomas echoed her sentiments. Shanklin Voluntary Youth Community Centre looks after vital green spaces for the Shanklin community, bringing people together and providing opportunities to lead healthy lifestyles, she said. The staff and volunteers do so much to ensure it maintains the high standards of the Green Flag Award. Any green space that is freely accessible to the public is eligible to enter for a Green Flag Award. The awards are given annually, with winners required to apply each year to renew their Green Flag Award status.
The incredible purple patch of Ireland golfer Brandon Robinson Thompson continued as he followed up a successful first major by almost immediately winning the European Tour's Irish Challenge. The Ireland-born 30-year-old has capped off a life-changing month in his professional career by topping the leaderboard by 2 strokes at the prestigious Headfort Golf Club in County Mear, which ended on Sunday. Brandon, who got himself noticed on the world's biggest stage at the 151st Open a few weeks ago, kept the momentum going by carding out with a superb -4 round of 67. Islander had gone into the final day 2 shots off the lead, but his 5 birdies and a bogey ensured his position at the top of the leaderboard with -12. Brandon is delighted with his latest win to continue what has been an incredible 2023, which also included the 151st Open and winning the Northern Ireland Open in June.
Police spot 200 drivers speeding in a month. Nearly 200 drivers were caught speeding on the Isle of Wight in June. Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary's Safer Roads unit has once again been on the island conducting speed enforcement work. A total of 192 speeding drivers were caught at 21 different locations and on 35 separate occasions. A spokesperson for the unit said, "We know poor driving standards, including speeding, are a concern to residents on the island, which is why we have been providing those monthly updates." Speeding is, of course, just one of the issues motorists face on the road network, and we have a number of teams and other initiatives running on the island that tackle the broader spectrum of offending to keep our roads safer. This is just one of those pieces of work. Speeding is one of the leading causes of serious and fatal injury collisions. So we are committed to taking action against those who put other road users at risk. The unit is part of our wider Joint Operations Unit, serving all of Hampshire, the Isle of Wight, and the Thames Valley.
A man caught with a large and varied drug stash set aside for use at the Isle of Wight Festival has been sentenced. Dylan Powell of Wyatt's Lane Northwood appeared before Isle of Wight magistrates on Friday, July the 28th. At 2 previous hearings, the 27-year-old admitted a long list of drug offences. He admitted possession of large quantities of cocaine, cannabis and ecstasy. He also admitted possession of a further quantity of cocaine and cannabis on June the 28th. Lauren Stone, prosecuting, said police stopped Powell on suspicion of drug supply and carried out a search, discovering a tub of cannabis and wraps of ketamine and cocaine. Spotted by an off-duty police officer a little over a week later, Powell was found in possession of cocaine and cannabis at Newport bus station. Ms Stone said the drugs were for personal use. Barry Arnett, defending, said Powell had lost his way and readily admitted he dabbled in drugs, particularly when going to a festival. Powell was made subject of a 13-month community order to include 40 hours of unpaid work and court fees of £199.
Man struck ex-partner. A man who smacked his former partner around the face and threatened to slit her throat has been sentenced. Richard Taylor of No Fix Abode appeared before the Isle of Wight Magistrate Court on Friday, the 21st of July. At a previous hearing in May, the 29-year-old admitted assault by beating. Lawrence Stone, prosecuting, said a few days before the incident, his ex-partner told him she wanted the relationship to end. On the 31st of January, he smacked his victim around the face with his hand. Ms. Stone told the court and threatened to slit her throat, along with the throats of other loved ones. Ms. Stone read out a victim statement to the court. I have been in a relationship with Richard for nearly 8 years. I don't want my life to be like this anymore. Michael Mike Goldrick, defending, said the pair had been together for a long time and they had 2 children together. Taylor was made subject of an 18-month community order to include 20 rehabilitation days. He was fined £120 and ordered to pay costs of £35 and a £114 surcharge.
A Ryde man sentenced for fraud. A man who continued to claim financial support after receiving more than £85,000 inheritance has been sentenced for benefit fraud. Mark Curtin of Slade Road, Ryde, appeared before Isle of Wight magistrates on Friday, June the 26th. At a previous hearing in June, the 61-year-old admitted 3 charges of benefit fraud. He admitted dishonestly failing to notify a change of circumstances affecting entitlement to Social Security benefit between August 2018 and August 2021. He also admitted making a false statement representation to obtain reduction under the Council Tax Reduction Scheme and dishonestly making a false statement to obtain a benefit advantage payment on August the 9th, 2021. Prosecutor Lauren Stone told the court Curtin had been claiming housing benefits since 2009, but in August 2018 he received inheritance of £36,000. She said he failed to declare this sum and continued to benefit from council tax support and housing benefits. The total overpayment was £6,726, not yet been repaid. Amy Hosel, defending, said the offence was born of simple naivety. Curtin was made subject of a 12-month community order to include 150 hours of unpaid work.
Clear vote by Islands teachers. The Isle of Wight National Education Union members and others have voted clearly and in great numbers over recent months, said the Education Union Assistant District Secretary Peter Shreve. They work hard to change the government's position on pay and funding. The action was key in securing the highest pay award for over 30 years, and moreover, members secured extra funding for schools, he said. A 6.5% pay increase was agreed on Monday, starting in September, for teachers in state-funded English schools. The government said the rise will be on top of the 22-23 average increase of 5.4%. There are also slightly higher pay rises for starting salaries outside London, which means new teachers will receive at least 30,000 or above from September. Any planned strike action has been cancelled, but Mr. Shreve said major challenges remain unsolved, including staff recruitment, retention, and workload. Teachers have taken 8 days of strike action in recent months. The Department for Education says it will look at ways to reduce workload. Arguing many schools had already budgeted for a 3.5% pay increase, the government says it will pay 3% of the latest rise.
A builder who crashed his Ford Transit van into a garden wall before driving off has avoided a prison sentence. In June, Jonathan Eastley of the Fairway Lake told Isle of Wight magistrates he was tired, stressed and panic-stricken because he thought his mother would die. He admitted being the driver of a vehicle involved in a March road accident on the Newport Road at Apps Heath and failing to report it. The 53-year-old also admitted driving without due care and attention. Easley's van hit and destroyed a garden wall. He drove off, later telling police he had fled the scene due to shock, tiredness and the stress of his mother being rushed into hospital, said Liz Miller, prosecuting. Unrepresented, Easley said he had been a carer for his mother who had heart problems. She then got rushed into hospital. I thought she was going to die, he told the court. I was shocked after the accident and panic set in. I was beside myself. I wasn't thinking straight. At sentencing, Easley was handed an 16-month community order with 200 hours of unpaid work. He was given 9 penalty points and costs totalling £199.
New driver crashed car. An inexperienced motorist crashed his car after driving too quickly into a turn while arguing with one of his 3 passengers. William Scoville, 21, of Mountfield Road, Wroxall, pleaded guilty to driving without due care and attention at the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court on the 25th of July. Liz Miller, prosecuting, said police were called to report of a Toyota Yaris crashing onto its roof on Staplers Road at 10:30 on November the 4th, 2022. The car had rolled several times before coming to rest on its roof in the road, with all its occupants escaping with scratches, bruises and cuts. Ms. Miller told the court that Scoville, who had only passed his test 6 months earlier, had 3 passengers aged 17 to 20. Scoville told police he was angry with one of the girls in the car and was arguing with her when he turned too hard while traveling too quickly into a left-hand turn. Representing himself, Scoville said, "Since the incident, I have changed my driving. I was a cocky new driver, and I realized how bad the incident was." Scoville must pay a £358 fine, cost of £35, and a £154 surcharge. He was handed 7 penalty points, and his license was revoked.
Now we have an article by Rebecca Roncoroni, and it's called Truth Telling Won't Make You Popular. We're trained as children that telling the truth is an important element of being a good human being. Children are encouraged to be honest and lying is frowned upon. So far, so simple. However, the truth of the matter is that honest children can become very unpopular if their truth-telling is perceived as rude, unkind, disrespectful or embarrassing. Truth is then redefined into truth, tact, manners and kindness in an attempt to stop the child calling out Auntie Joan's moustache or Uncle Anthony's bad breath. But they do have bad breath is no excuse for being rude. So the child's understanding of truth is corrupted by the adult's discomfort in telling another adult that they have a stinky breath issue. Thus, the child's view of telling the truth is clouded by obfuscation and, let us be honest, the adult's discomfort in telling the real truth. Is it any wonder that people who grow up telling the truth become confused by the hostility telling the actual truth evokes? It would seem that in order to fit in, many people would rather live in a world dominated by half-truths and denial than face the stark reality of unvarnished truth. Truth is uncomfortable and demands that we change. Humans hate change. It has been acknowledged forever that truth-tellers are not popular people. Plato famously said, "No one is more hated than he who speaks the truth." George Orwell said, "During times of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. The further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those that speak it." Is truth regarded as hate speech? If so, by whom and why? The answer, if boiled down, is not complex. Humans do not like to be embarrassed or uncomfortable. We are much more likely to accept a comforting lie than an uncomfortable truth, if it means that we can coast along in our little bubbles of denial, pretending everything is rosy. Being deprived of that sense of certainty is unsettling and usually means thinking deeply and honestly, examining the facts rather than the emotions and desires. It is hard because after that uncomfortable self-reflection, the requirement to adjust our behaviour accordingly and stand by decisions and views in the face of popular opinion takes strength and courage. Right now, telling the unvarnished truth has never been more important for the future of us all as individuals and as a country. Without truth, we will never resolve the issues faced by an increasingly impoverished, subjugated population being fed a barrage of propaganda and euphemisms. We need to hold those in power, whether they be politicians, large organisations or media, accountable and demand the same standards of truth and integrity we expect from our school children.
Vectis View, Reflections on Island Life by Karen Snag, Chairman of the Isle of Wight SAFA, the Armed Forces Charity. Although I was born in London, Cowes has always been my home, and as a youngster, I spent most of my holidays either dinghy sailing from Gurnard and Wootton or ferrying sailors to and from their boats in Cowes, in my little rowing dinghy, to earn a bit of pocket money. Soon after leaving school, I spent the next 36 years in the army, serving all over the world. Along the way, I was awarded a Royal Humane Society Award for helping to rescue a casualty in Snowdonia, mentioned in dispatches for my services in Northern Ireland, and awarded an OBE for service to reserves and cadets in London and Yorkshire. But always as a family, we would return as often as we could to spend time with my parents and mess about in boats in Cowes, the Solent and the Channel. So when I retired in 2016, it was no surprise that we moved back to the family home in Cowes, where I have become involved in volunteer work, supporting Cowes Sea Cadets, their RYS, Isle of Wight Foundation, and church warden at Holy Trinity. Throughout my time in the army, SAFA, Forces Help, the oldest armed forces charity, was always there to help serving soldiers and their families when the going got tough. I was always immensely impressed by SAFA's force for good and its wonderful effect on my soldiers' morale. So again, it was no surprise when I came to live permanently on this island that it was not long before I found myself chairman of the Isle of Wight branch. SAFA was formerly known as the Soldiers, Sailors and Air Force Association, and was founded over 130 years ago by an army officers seeking to raise money for the families of those killed in the Zulu War. Today our support covers current and former regulars and reserve in the Royal Navy, Royal Marines, British Army and the Royal Air Force, including everyone who has completed national service. Importantly, we extend our reach to families and dependents as well. Support is available for people at any stage in their military career, from the youngest recruit to the oldest veteran. No one's service is ever forgotten. Although our office is in Ryde, our team of volunteer care workers travel across the island to visit those in need. All have been trained to assess exactly what is required, and then to provide tailored help to the individual or family. This may just be a friendly ear, but more often than not, we access financial assistance and we signpost to other charity partners to help people get their lives back on track. For me, as a volunteer, it is working with a wonderful team of like-minded, experienced, and loyal caseworkers on the island that makes SAFA such a rewarding experience. Recently, and in a very hands-on way, my fellow volunteers have helped with relocation expenses, rent deposit, provision of basic white goods and furniture, accessible wet areas, stair lifts, and mobility scooters, as well as signposting for support with debts and mental health issues, and sometimes, unfortunately, funeral expenses. Whatever issues our island ex-servicemen and women are facing, from homelessness, debt, addiction, physical or mental health problem, our personalized support will help them through it, for as long as it takes to get that person's life back to where they want it to be. The satisfaction of knowing in a time of need that you have made someone's life just a little bit better is immensely rewarding. That's why we do it. If anyone reading this needs SAFA's support, or you feel you might be able to join us as a volunteer, please don't hesitate to contact SAFA Isle of Wight by calling 020-4566-9126 or emailing southeast.region@safa.org.uk.
Plan a great day out at Wolverton. The island's largest garden fair returns on September the 2nd and 3rd with a host of activities, demonstrations and displays across the weekend, so put the dates in your diary now. West Wight Alpacas, Isle of Wight Donkey Sanctuary and Haven Falconry will be at the Wolverton Manor Garden Fair. David Randini's Magic Moment show will be on the Manor lawn each day with a classic Punch and Judy show in the afternoons. Also on the lawn will be Elizabethan reenactments and dancing with Passa Mezzo, along with their still room, cookery demos and Annie the Peddler. You can kayak around the moat and watch chainsaw carving with Paul Civil, alongside demonstrations from Ability Dogs for young people. Why not enter your pooch into the fun dog show, which takes place on both days? You might win a rosette. You will be fascinated with displays by Isle of Wight embroiderers, Isle of Wight Guild of Weavers, Spinners and Dyers, Isle of Wight Coppice Group, Vectis Historic Vehicle Group, Vectis Vintage Tractor and Engines, Vintage Military Vehicles and the American Auto Club. Have fun in the Scouts Kids Zone, try out Vectis Searchers metal detectors and enjoy beautiful vintage amusements, bouncy castles and slides, alongside over 170 garden and craft exhibitors. Advance tickets are on sale at the Village Shop in Bryston, Waterstones Newport and Hose Roads Dixon's Ride at £6 for adults, children under 14 go free. Wolverton is a dog-friendly event, but please keep four-legged friends on a lead and take care around other animals. Parking is free, with adult tickets available on the day for £8. All profits stay on the island, helping Age UK Isle of Wight to support older island residents.
Get a piece of the action. The Jigsaw Festival. With an ever-changing display, there's always something new to see at the Jigsaw Puzzle Festival. The annual event is held at St. James Church, East Cowes, and takes place from the 7th of August to Friday, the 12th of August. It is open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily, and Wednesday, Thursday evenings from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Admission is £1.50 for adults, and accompanied children are free. Hundreds of complete jigsaw puzzles will be on display and for sale. The display changes as soon as puzzles are sold. Light refreshments will be available in the adjoining church hall, and there is a bookstall. Now in its 28th year, the Jigsaw Puzzle team looks forward to welcoming everyone to their unique event.
Now we have some letters. Don't let dogs off the lead. This is a freshwater resident, but name and address supplied. Yet again, I walk along the freshwater causeway and see a dog owner letting their dog off the lead, only for it to go bounding into the water where there are large numbers of swans, geese and ducks, many of them young birds. It's most likely that the dog isn't after them at all, but the birds don't know that. All they see is a large animal propelling itself in their direction. Do we have to see more deaths in the river before the council puts a board up to the effect that dogs must be kept on leads in this sensitive area, which everyone agrees we are very lucky to have? The actual stretch of land concerned is a couple of 100 yards or so hardly a major hardship.
Have Your Say by Richard Stone. I am sure you are aware that the time limit for the public consultation about the manning of railway stations has been extended to the 1st of September. This follows some criticism about the original period being unreasonably short. Sadly, however, this seems to have been largely missed. From the continued letters in the county press, it is clearly there is something that matters to islanders, and I am hoping that you will find at least a small space to alert readers to the fact that until the 1st of September, they can still send their comments to Transport Focus by free post letter or email. Write free post, RTEHXAGEBYKZ, Transport Focus, PO Box 5594, Southend-on-Sea, SS1 9PZ. Alternatively, email Ticket Office, swr@transportfocus.org.uk, and name the stations you are concerned about and how the proposals will affect you and other residents. Also, the parliamentary petition remains open until the 18th of October, and as I write this, 66,908 people have signed. At 100,000 signatures, the petition will be considered for debate.
This is a letter from Elizabeth Ann Griffiths Hughes of Ryde. Offensive. I find it deeply offensive that the UK government has decided to copy the tactics of the Republican Party of the US and require all voters to present ID cards on election day. As in the US, the acceptable ID cards are not uniform and discriminate against minorities and the poor in the US and the young and the poor in the UK. As any US Republican and UK Conservative government knows, the young and the poor are far more likely to cast their votes for progressive greener governments, while the elderly are overwhelmingly Conservative. As an elderly eligible voter, 84 in August, I'm incensed the UK has gone down the same path as the US. I am deeply ashamed it has come to this. Anyone involved in the electoral system knows the number of ineligible votes cast is negligible.
Museum treat. My wife Barbara and I visited the Royal Victoria Arcade on Union Street Ryde while we were recently holidaying on your wonderful island, as has been the case on very many previous occasions. In doing so, we luckily came across the Museum of Ryde, where we discovered a tremendous display of saucy seaside postcards. Such postcards were a most enjoyable feature of our younger, innocent days. We were a little reticent to enter the museum, not at all because of the remarkably cheap £4 admission charge, but venture forth we did, and what a most entertaining couple of hours we spent. Having chuckled our way through the postcard section, we were then absolutely taken aback by how much memorabilia of general and historical interest there was of Ryde. We simply could not take it all in, or just the one visit. It is a place we will definitely aim for our next trip to the Sunshine Isle, next year of course. We would urge your readers who have not yet had the uplifting pleasure to pay a visit to the museum, including the arcade. Your eyes will be awakened to a most pleasurable hour or so, guaranteed.
We have a letter from Tina Snow of Newport called Cutbacks, Please. I am writing to give a gentle reminder to ask householders and public authorities to maintain their hedges. I am totally blind and am frequently coming into contact with overhanging hedges and brambles on footways. This has, in some instances, caused me to snag my clothes and scratch my arms. I also get a face full of wet vegetation if it is raining. I or another visually impaired person could easily sustain a serious facial injury. If the footway is narrow, it forces my guide dog to avoid the vegetation, pushing me too near the curb edge. It is also a hazard for wheelchair users and parents pushing prams. In Newport, the areas near the former Polar's residential home is in a dangerous condition, with overhanging vegetation and slippery leaves on the pavement. Another problematic area is near the St Paul's Vicarage. Please help us stay safe. Cut back all overhanging vegetation and brambles. Thank you. Your assistance in this matter is much appreciated.
Child Control, a letter by Richard Downer from Derbyshire. I feel that I must reply to the letter from Mary Vine, County Press of the 21st of July, about the railings on Ryde Pier. What Mary has forgotten is your child is yours and your responsibility to keep them safe and should be under your control at all times, while in what could be a very dangerous area, be the tide in or out, and not the fault of Wight if they clamber through the railings. The railings down the pier could always be climbed over if a child so wishes, so don't blame Wight for your failing to control your child.
That's it from us today, so goodbye from Pauline.
Goodbye from Gerard.
BBC In Touch programme follows. There is no scaffolding news this week.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Good evening. Tonight, the latest news about how to have your say on the proposed closure of ticket offices and the problems some guide dog owners are having renting a home.
We did make a little experiment where we applied for a property separately. Me and my husband, we put the same figures, the same details, the same data. My husband declared that we have a guide dog and I didn't. He didn't get offered viewing, whereas I did.
More about that later. But first, the legal decision which should make it easier to get information in a form visually impaired people can actually read. The arrival of the laptop and the screen reader has been a real game changer in blind people's ability to communicate in a written form. But it would have been far more of a revolution if public bodies and commercial companies had been prepared to actually engage with the idea properly. But one of the commonest complaints that we get on In Touch is the reluctance of many of them, including government departments, to embrace the email or send documents in a format that the screen reader, which converts things into speech or braille, can cope with. But now, a judgment in a judicial review against the Department for Work and Pensions may have changed that. The review was sought by Dr. Yusuf Ali Osman, and he's been reminding me of the events that led up to his case.
So I was getting communications from the Department for Work and Pensions either delayed or in a format that I couldn't read. So they were sending me things as PDF attachments to emails that were images. So my screen reader JAWS was unable to read them. As well as that, they were sending me letters in print that obviously I couldn't read. I had told them that I wanted communications by Word format, and previously I had said Braille, but the Braille was coming sometimes more than 28 days after the date on those letters.
And how long had this sort of thing been going on?
Years. The case goes back to 2016 is, I think, the first thing that's referenced in my initial witness statement. But the court, we were looking from the 21st of May 2020.
And just to get it clear, when you talk about delays, what's the issue there?
It's really odd because the DWP seems to have this system for sending things within its own organisation before it gets sent out to me. So I might be getting a letter telling me, you owe us money, so we're going to start deducting from your employment and support allowance. And that letter might be dated the 1st of June, but I might only get it on, let's say, the 1st of July. And usually you have 28 days to appeal against any decision. And obviously the 1st of July is more than 28 days after the 1st of June. The longest that I ever had was 98 days, which was for a P60. And with a P60, you have 60 days to appeal.
Mm. Well, also with us is the RNIB's senior legal advisor, Samantha Fothergill. Samantha, I mean, can you sum up for us what conclusions the review has actually reached and what is now likely to happen?
So what the court has said is that the arrangements that the DWP had put in place to provide accessible information to blind and partially sighted people, which effectively led to people suffering the kind of delays that Yusuf has talked about, or getting stuff in an inaccessible format anyway. The court has basically said that those arrangements were unlawful. And what it means is that the DWP can't rest on its laurels anymore. They have to go away and address the problems that have been highlighted by Yusuf's case. So they are going to have to improve their processes. And to be fair to the DWP, I mean, they have done some things. What I think Yusuf and his legal team and RNIB are not clear about is whether they've done enough. The other very important part of the judgment is that the court didn't just declare that what the DWP were doing to Yusuf was unlawful. They declared that what was happening for all blind and partially sighted people who required information in an accessible format, they were also being discriminated against as well.
So basically this is a green light, because we've had lots of complaints about this. We've had other people on the programme. This is a green light for them to go to the DWP and say, you know, you've been told that you've got to do this. You've got to send us things in an accessible format.
Absolutely. And we want people to carry on complaining, because I think it's only by people complaining that the DWP will really take notice and understand how much of an impact this has.
Yusuf, if I can come back to you, how confident are you that this will be a landmark judgment? After all, you know, as you've said, I think you were receiving communications from the DWP in inappropriate formats and subject to considerable delays during the period leading up to the case being heard.
Yes. The positive thing is that finally they're sending me communications in Word format. It's taken them around 2 years to get to it, but they are doing it now. The negative side is those communications were still received 48 and 35 days after the date on those letters. And given that it's, you know, Word formatted letter sent by email's pretty instantaneous. Am I confident that the problems are going to be fixed quickly? No, Peter, I'm not. I think somebody else, or potentially me, will have to take the DWP to court again. But we do have something from the court now that says this is what the DWP has to do.
And I think they've also involved you, haven't they, in future reviews of their access policy?
Yes, so they're going to be updating my legal team at Lee Day 6 months and 12 months after the date of the court order. I'm going to be joining their accessible formats team. I've forgotten the name of the. I've actually forgotten the name of the team. Reasonable Adjustments Forum, and they have invited me to test out any future technical solutions that they are currently working on. So that's good.
Now, we did, of course, invite the Minister responsible for the Department of Work and Pensions to join us on this programme. We were told that they were unable to offer a minister due to diary commitments. But in a statement, they said, "We're sorry for falling short in meeting our accessibility requirements in this instance. We have already made changes to improve this and will continue to work with our disabled customers to offer them the best possible service." Sam Fothergill, Yusuf has already told us of his invitation to monitor their performance. What's the next step for the RNIB?
I think this is the first time that we have actually seen positive progress from the DWP on this. RNIB has been complaining about this issue for about 10 years, and there's never really been an acceptance that there's a problem. And this declaration by the court recognises that there is a problem and that the DWP will have to do something about it. We too need to monitor their performance, and we need to hold them to account for all the commitments that they have made as part of Yusuf's case, and just to encourage people to complain and to, hold the DWP's feet to the fire on this. I think that's the only way that we're going to make progress.
Sam Fothergill of the RNIB and Yusuf Ali Osman, who brought the case. And of course, we hope you keep us informed about how some of those promises are going. Now, the controversy over the government and train companies' plans to close the remaining ticket offices at railway stations and the transfer of assistance for those who need it onto platforms and concourses has escalated from a murmur to a torrent. It's now become the subject of newspaper campaigns, protesting disability organisations, threats of legal action by 5 metropolitan mayors, and the consultation being offered by Transport Focus and London Travel Watch says it's had more than 170,000 responses, for and against. The result is that 2 consultation periods, one by Transport Focus and London Travel Watch, and an ongoing inquiry into the accessibility of public transport by the Parliamentary Transport Select Committee, have been extended. And both have told us that they will accept submissions from people who have online access difficulties by telephone. The Transport Select Committee's inquiry has been extended to the 16th of August. People can call 020 719 2226. And Transport Focus can be reached on 0300 123 2350. That's 0300 123 2350 right up until the 1st of September. We've continued to ask the Department for Transport for the Minister to come and talk to us about their plans, but so far without success. One thing we do appear to have had success with is our item last week about delays in getting vital services to people who are losing their sight and how this problem can be tackled. We've had this from Elizabeth Townsend.
Your programme about getting help after diagnosis could not have come at a more opportune time. I got a diagnosis of age-related macular degeneration in March this year and have been struggling to get the appropriate information. Your programme made me aware of such people as ECLOs, and today I've spoken to Hayley, who is the ECLO for Northampton General Hospital and the Northampton Association for the Blind. After months of trying to get some sense out of the various departments, it was the most amazing relief to actually be able to go and speak to her and have her listen to my tale of woe. Listen to properly and with intelligence.
And of course, an ECLO is an eye care liaison officer. We've also had a very helpful clarification about the role of the Certificate of Vision Impairment, or CVI, which we said was often too slow in coming and was important in giving access to a variety of services and benefits. This came from Martin Motts, who works for Citizen Advice.
Clearly, the Certificate of Vision Impairment is essential to access many kinds of support. However, a person's eligibility for personal independence payment does not depend on their having a CVI. Other medical evidence can be used, for example, your medical record as printed out by your GP practice or a report from an optician.
And speaking of opticians, Peter Horer got in touch with us with a piece of information he'd like to see far more widely publicised. His deaf partner needed some urgent eye care after experiencing flashes and floaters. After much toing and froing, he was finally told about a service called Primary Eye Care UK, where registered NHS patients in England can enter their GP practice's postcode, and if the service is available in that area, it'll give you details of what opticians can provide you with. Urgent eye care assessments, treatments, or can refer you for sudden eye problems such as flashes, floaters or minor eye injuries. You need to contact your chosen practice by phone and ask for an urgent eye care service appointment. Thank you for all your responses. We read them all and we often return to them when the right moment arises. So if you don't hear your response straight away on the programme, don't think we've ignored it. Now, as I'm sure you know, finding somewhere to rent at the moment is not easy. Many landlords are selling up, demand is high, prices are soaring. But having a guide dog shouldn't make it any more difficult, should it? The right to have a guide dog in your rental property is enshrined in law. But that doesn't seem to have helped Alexandra Edwards. She's been trying to find somewhere to rent in the West Midlands. She and her husband are both visually impaired, and Alexandra has a guide dog. On our consumer programme You and Yours the other day, I asked her how long she'd been trying to find somewhere to rent.
At least 2 years now. And we just kept getting rejections.
And what makes you think that the refusals that you are getting are connected for your guide dog? You know, given that, as we've said, the competition for homes is very fierce.
So I'm not saying that all rejections were connected to us having a guide dog, but we did make a little experiment where we applied for a property separately. So me and my husband, we put the same figures, the same details, the same data. My husband declared that we have a guide dog and I didn't. I said, we haven't got pets, and I didn't clarify any further. He got rejected as he didn't get offered viewing, whereas I did get an offer to see the property. And needless to say, we haven't got the property at the end.
Have any actually told you that you've been refused because you've got a guide dog?
We were never told, obviously, that it's because of a dog, because, you know, it's illegal, so they wouldn't say that. But we did get messages such as, property's not suitable. We got messages such as, we can't move in because there are stairs, so that wouldn't be safe for us, things like that. But obviously no one would actually explicitly say. I mean, if they did, that would be easy. I could then challenge them on it, but sadly that didn't happen.
What's the situation now? I mean, have you solved your housing problem yet?
Trying to. So we are now applying for a shared ownership property. Unfortunately, we can't afford to buy outright. So we are going down this route. So hopefully that will go through and we won't have to worry about guide dogs anymore.
Well, good luck with it anyway. Listening to that was Chris Theobald. He's from the charity Guide Dogs. Chris, how familiar a story is this?
Sadly, Alexandra's story is not an isolated one. I mean, 81% of guide dog owners have been refused in some form of setting. When it comes to renting properties, because it's a less frequent activity, we don't have very firm statistics on that, but there's something that we do hear about quite a lot. It isn't necessarily always clear the reason why, but I mean, occasionally we do hear things such as increased charges and deposits. So yeah, it's a variety of reasons are given.
But presumably it is quite easy to come up with other reasons. Very hard to prove that it's got anything to do with the guide dog, isn't it, if people don't say it?
Exactly, yes. Obviously the rental market's become more competitive, and one thing we found, I mean, like anyone who's been looking for a property, you're anxious, you want to find somewhere, and so a lot of people don't necessarily fight it even when the discrimination is more explicit.
Just remind us what the law says.
So people with a guide dog, because they have sight loss, which is a protected characteristic, are protected by the Equality Act in England, Scotland and Wales, and the Disability Discrimination Act 1995 in Northern Ireland. And so businesses and services have to make reasonable adjustments. So refusing a guide dog owner for most services is likely to be indirect discrimination or failure to make a reasonable adjustment. We think the law could be clarified to make it clearer that you can't refuse services or offer a lesser service across all services.
The National Residential Landlords Association say they recognise the importance of assistance dogs for renters and that they strongly encourage landlords to be as flexible as possible to enable tenants to have them. Are you satisfied by this?
I mean, there are obviously some very good landlords out there, but there's also people who are refusing, so it's a mixed picture. There is confusion, especially when you've got unclear about the responsibility, whether you're the landlord or whether it's the agent, because that can make communication more difficult as well. There's a lot of different players in this. So we're looking at and we're calling on strengthening the law, and the government's Disability Action Plan includes measures about guide dog access rights.
That was Chris Theobald from Guide Dogs, and we heard before that Alexandra Edwards. We've contacted 3 organisations who speak for landlords. None of them were able to provide us with someone to come on to In Touch to talk about this, but we would really like to hear either from renters, owners or landlords about this situation. You can email In Touch at bbc.co.uk about anything you've heard on the programme, or indeed something you've heard somewhere else. You can leave us a voice message on 0161 836 1338 or find more information on our website bbc.co.uk/in touch. One more thing, we are planning to do a programme about learning a language if you're visually impaired. We'd very much like to hear from people who've done that, what methods you find most successful, and we'd also like to hear from visually impaired language teachers. I'm sure there are some out there. Do get in touch with us. From me, Peter Wight, producer Beth Hemmings and studio manager Sue Stone Street, goodbye.